to another episode of Starving Artists. This is part 2 to our bonus episodes. So I'd like to go ahead and just introduce everyone that's here. Derrick, he is my producer. He's behind everything for every other episode that we've done. He's usually not on mic or camera. But Derrick, what's going on?
Sir, nothing much, bro. How you been?
I've been good. YJ, young one Jonah, back for a third time now. How you doing, bro? You doing good?
I'm all right. I'm making it.
Dope. Tromonte, back for a second time. What's good, bro?
What's good? What's good, man? Nice to meet everybody.
Strizzo, for the first time. What's up, man? How are you?
Blessings, man. It could be worse, I guess.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. And for the first time, my boy Mike Scala. What's going on?
What's up, man? I feel like I have like the most plain name out of everybody. Everybody's got cool names. I'm over here like, hey, this is Mike. We're good.
And last but not least, my guy, Chris. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, fifth basic name in the United States, man.
All right, so let's get started. I know Jonah's got to leave, but so we did an episode yesterday, and basically I just want to start this off with Mike and Chris and allow y'all to share your heart and your stance and your position. So whichever one of y'all want to start it off, feel free.
What position we talking about here?
Well, Chris, you want to take it?
Say it again.
You want to share your heart with everything that's going on?
All right, yeah. I'll start this off. It came to me and was like, hey, world right now, and I think the first and foremost, one of the biggest problems that everybody seems to have in their heart right now is hatred towards one person or another, whether it be ethnicity group or a specific individual or hell, the police. There's just a lot of hatred and animosity, and a lot of it's got to do with stuff that don't even involve that person directly. We got a lot of police hatred because of one person. How many times do you see on YouTube, on Facebook, of police officers going above and beyond to not only save animals, but to save human beings, pulling people out of fires, pulling people out of just situations in which they themselves can't get themselves out of, but they didn't think twice. They went out there and risked their lives for somebody who had no clue of who they are. And to put those people on the back burner because of one person is not right. And that's what our media is doing right now. And another topic that really is out there is this racist thing. White people or black people as a whole are racist. It is closed-minded, is just beyond words. To me, racism is taught. And who in God's green earth wants their children growing up and saying, I hate somebody simply because of their color? Now, you want to sit there and blame somebody because of their actions or the words that they said, that's perfectly fine. This person, in knowing this is to be disliked by another person. For a group of rioters or picketers or protesters to sit there, if Black Lives Matter, if Black Lives don't matter, black, white, red, blue, science did that, which is human made. So to sit there and say that one life matters over the next is counterintuitive to what you're even preaching in the overall spectrum of your protest. To say that Black Lives Matter, I 100% agree Black Lives Matter. 100% agree. Asian lives matter. 100% agree. Cop lives matter. You know, but we need to put all that aside and simply say, we're one person, we're one group, we're one denomination, one thing, and that's surviving and making the world a better place.
Appreciate you, sharing your position. Chris, does anybody want to rebuttal that before Mike gives his?
Well, okay, so I look at it like this. See, the issue we have is there's many layers to what we got going on right now.
Agree.
In the country, in the world. So we could easily say, yeah, there are some good cops, right? But there's some real bad ones too. And we always talk about, okay, we're gonna reform the police system or whatever. That never happened. That never happened. So you get the element of it, of the people that are like, okay, well, we got our cops and we got our military and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, cool. But us as Black folks, it's like we've never been at the same playing field, except for in sports. You know what I mean? But
I couldn't agree with that, though.
But as soon as we walk off that field and we walk off that court, if you do professional sports or music or anything, it's back to the same standard. And we tired of it. Everything that we seeing right now in society is because we are just tired of it. We can sit up here and say all day, I get it. Everybody on, we all want our if you have kids, everybody to be equal. We want each other to be equal. But there's a generation right above ours that don't feel that way. I was alive when Rodney King happened. And I didn't think I would ever see that type of stuff going on. It's 2020. And so we got to understand that, like, yes, most of us, like in the world are not racist. But at the end of the day, it's that cancer right there. It's that cancer, that tumor that's sitting there, and we got to address it. And I don't think we should let up off the gas until it's addressed.
Not at all. Chris, let me ask you something, because you were breaking up a little bit while you were talking. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that you don't like the Black Lives Matter thing because it's only focusing on Black lives. Is that correct?
Yay and nay. Like, the totality of it, the total genre of Black Lives Matter, I agree with their fight, and I agree with what their core values are. But using it as a pawn in the midst of what's going on right now, I don't agree with.
And why is that? Because a Black man just got murdered. Black woman just got murdered.
That's fine.
Another Black man just got. That's not fine. But what I'm saying is, let me explain something to you. When they're saying that partially because whenever something like that happens to us, whenever our men and women get killed unjustly by cops or whoever, as in Ahmaud Arbery, it takes justice, sweet time to happen if it does. So for you as a white man, if something were to happen to someone you knew that was white, let's say it was a Black cop or it was a Black suspect or whatever you want to say, the person that killed that white person, instant. When it's a Black life that's taken, it takes a sweet time. So if we're gonna talk about all lives matter,
now
hold on. if we're going to talk about all lives matter, why is it that that's only yelled when Black Lives Matter is yelled? I don't hear this argument when I hear about Blue Lives Matter. I don't hear that. Can that be explained to me?
What I'd like to say on that is the media does not speak for
Not talking about the media. I'm talking about people
the
with your
people.
perspective.
The media does not speak.
Good.
I don't make an outrage. I think what happened is wrong. I think that the fact that a policeman killed another person in general is wrong. Where I'm assuming you being a production manager, you affiliate yourself a lot with the industry of entertainment. I myself find my passion to be more in just understanding. You know, I like to
You're
just
breaking
Google
up a little bit. I'm
Google.
sorry. Say that again.
Sorry, man. I said where did I cut off at?
About me being a Black man and a manager, media manager, or something like that.
That you are his, into production. You
Mm-hmm.
tend to research and do a lot of things regarding your passion,
Mm-hmm.
which would be sound, I'm sure, and things like that. I was saying that I tend to research things that, I find argumentative things to be entertaining. So whether it be political aspects, whether it be business aspects, the controversy thing, I just kind of like to research and find out, who may be going off false truths, or be going off factual information, or just straight opinions.
Okay.
And a lot of the things that I've researched in the topic of whether it be white deaths by police, Black deaths by police, men, female by police, there are statistics out there on the internet. And to me, racial police brutality, the key word is there is racial, is complete a myth or a fairy tale, because statistically, and you can, factually look this up, chance, there's 25% more likely for a violent criminal to be white to get shot at by a police than a Black man.
Okay. Let me stop you.
They say
what, because you never answered my question. Because you're going into somewhere else. What is the purpose of yelling out all lives matter when we're saying Black Lives Matter, and you don't do it when people say Blue Lives Matter? What is the purpose of that? Because in all honesty, if all lives matter, Black Lives Matter should be something you're behind. If all lives actually matter, Black Lives Matter should be something you're standing right behind, and you're just as pissed off as we are, if all lives indeed matter.
Again, correct.
So
and that's what I was saying before. I do agree.
But what is your
issue? I do agree with the fact that my issue is their biggest thing is fighting for equality in Black, right?
In
Black
America.
Lives Matter. They're fighting for, correct, okay. But Blue Lives, for example, isn't segregating. Blue Lives isn't saying one is more important than the next. They're simply saying the position held by
firefighters?
Red Lives Matter as well.
So I'm asking you, if all lives matter, what is your issue with saying Black Lives Matter?
I never said I had an issue with saying Black Lives Matter.
Then what? But what is your problem?
I'm
with
saying
it,
I have
the movement. I'm asking the movement.
My problem that's going on right now with with the Black Lives Matter protests? Is that what the question is?
No. My question was if all lives matter.
Not sure.
LJ, go
Maybe
ahead.
maybe I can interject. Is that okay?
Please do.
Of course, man.
Okay. I think what he's trying to say is that by saying Black Lives Matter, you're putting one people group on a pedestal, in a sense, you're saying that one matters more than another. I think what he's saying is all lives matter. When all lives matter, he's saying it doesn't matter your creed, your color, things like that. By putting one on a pedestal over another, it's showing a preferential viewpoint. He's not saying that Black lives don't matter. Believe me, we all can agree that Black lives matter. Some of the greatest thinking minds of multiple generations have been Black men or Black women. But I think what he's saying is by putting one on a pedestal, you're essentially, I don't want to say depreciating any of the other groups, but you kind of are in that aspect. Does that make sense, or am I breaking up too? I can't tell.
No, you're clear. You're clear.
Okay.
But so my rebuttal to that is, I understand. See, the thing about it is, we don't have the same opportunities as white people in this country in terms of being able to have benefit of doubt. So when we get stopped by cops, when we have some type of interaction with an officer, we're automatically in fear of our lives. Tromonte, am I correct?
Correct.
But do you think that fear is a learned reaction?
Nothing learned about it.
Wrong way. I think that, yeah, I think we live in a society. Yes, you see a white guy get busted for weed and a black guy get busted for weed, and the black guy gets a more severe penalty for the same infraction. I 100% agree with you. I think that part of the system is broken 100%. Okay. But I think that the viewpoint of fear, and don't take this the wrong way, when you even say we, you're segregating it right there. And I understand that's what we're talking about. It's essentially a broken system throughout. But by saying a movement, by saying we, when I look at a human being, the difference between me and you genetically is a little bit of difference in melanin. That's what makes your skin darker than mine.
Most definitely.
So it is.
But,
I mean, we're one race.
Here's the thing. Yes, it's a human race, but there is variety in it. Correct. So let me say this: when you have a system that is built on white supremacy, white supremacy is the foundation of this country.
I disagree. No, I don't. No. And the only reason I'll say that, one of our founding fathers was Thomas Jefferson. And what did he say? He said, all men were created equal. He did not specify race. He did not specify his color in that. And the first slave in the U.S. was an Irishman who was, let's be real, he's Caucasian as the day is long.
The system in America is built on white supremacy. White supremacy is the foundation of this country, whether you agree with me on that or not. That is the fact. Because anything
based on what?
Well, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Native Americans were in America first.
Correct.
Who came over here and pillaged that group of people?
Numerous. The Spanish did, the Portuguese did, and so did the English.
Who came over here and wiped Native Americans out and enslaved Africans in America?
Okay.
The Africans were sold to America.
I'm sorry?
They were sold to America by Portuguese, first of all. The biggest slave traders were Portuguese. And not trying to be mean, are you telling me that you think that, and I'm not with all respect, are you telling me you think a bunch of English white guys who went into a land of people who hunted and killed for a living, this was their occupation, could enslave these African men without the help of other tribes? We look at slavery itself was tribesmen selling tribes.
Hold on.
And
I'm not saying that because Africans were sold over here by Africa. Yes.
Okay.
But what I am saying is that when we came over here, when our people got over here, we were enslaved by white people. Okay.
So were white people, though, is all I'm saying. White people were enslaved as well.
Hold on. There is no way you're going to be able to compare the slavery white people went through to what my people went through. That is not the same. Not at
Have you heard of Greece, Rome?
Not by a long shot. Okay.
Greece and Rome.
Please.
In Rome.
I guess I'm the one that doesn't
There
know
have been
anything.
battles
So
of tribes.
Please teach me.
Well, can we all agree that slavery is wrong? We can all agree on that, correct?
Yes, but I was making a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, that's fine, but to sit there and say that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
You were making an argument that white slavery, what I got out of that is you're saying that your culture, ethnicity, I'm not even going to call it culture, ethnicity, was treated worse, or was it treated?
Do we not have any idea where my people came from? Tromonte, do you know exactly what country in Africa your people came from? What tribe? We lost all sense of identity. We lost all sense of humanity. Yeah, because even the people that were enslaved in Greece and Rome, they actually know where the hell they came from. I don't even know my native language.
But is that able to be proven to be blamed on the fact that you were brought to America on ships and by your own people and sold to Americans by your own people?
Well,
is that our fault that somewhere in the lines that your heritage got lost, or is that the people of your ancestry whom brought them over here and traded them for goods?
When you have people
since the beginning of time,
when you have people, white people that actually strip identity and reteach religion to be that the white man is the savior. Yeah, that's a problem, my guy. That's a
okay.
issue.
Hold on. Wait.
We're not.
Where did we teach that the white guy is the savior? Because last time I read that Jesus Christ was an Israeli. Let's be real. He looked like Osama bin Laden.
And
if we want to get technical.
And you go into a Catholic church, what do you see? When you go into a Baptist church, what do you see?
That is system. And you don't see a white things. Jesus, bro.
I'm sorry?
You go into Asia, there's an Asian, it's really depicted on the Bible of your choice.
You're more than welcome to come into my church. I run a youth group, and I am very active in the church, and you are more than welcome to come in my church. One, there's not a picture of Jesus anywhere because he's off the cross.
Growing up, did you not see a picture of Jesus on TV and in churches? Let's not dance around this. Did you not see that?
Do I see a picture of what
no,
people think
growing
he is?
up,
Yeah, they think
growing up, what did you see?
I didn't see a picture of Jesus in anything but stained glass. I grew up in a Catholic church.
And what did the Jesus in the stained glass look like?
The Jesus in the stained glass was tan. He wasn't white.
Okay.
I'll say for me, because I grew up in the Catholic Church as well, St. Michael's here on 52. The picture of Jesus that we were shown was a white man, and I went to Grace Christian School, my from kindergarten through 12th grade, and in our Bible classes, and this, I'm not saying this to blame the school, but the people who who created what it was we learned from the different courses and stuff. The pictures of Jesus that was shown in these books were that of a white man, and that's just my 2 cents added in to what's being discussed.
And I'm not Tromonte, you can go ahead, but I just want to say this. What I'm saying is all these things that we have in our society systematically built is based in white supremacy.
We're gonna have
It
to agree
is.
to disagree on that.
And I'm fine with that because I've done my study. Trust me, I grew up around all that stuff, religion and everything. I know exactly what it is I'm talking about. Tromonte, go ahead, my guy.
No, it's okay. Hey, everybody. I just want to say I respect everybody's views and everything like that. I agree. I think the country was built off of white supremacy. I know you can disagree. A lot of the things I kind of reiterate kind of what I said yesterday. Every industry is owned by white people. It's ran by white people. The automobile industry, the educational laws, the constitutional laws, hip hop is ran by white people. Every MLB owner is white. Every NFL owner is white. Every NBA owner is white outside of Michael Jordan, who doesn't really resonate with the black community. Everywhere you turn, it's owned by white people. Now, there are successful black people within the ecosystem of it being owned by white people. You have a lot of black athletes, but a white person cuts their check. We don't have the opportunity for a lot of small business loans like white people have. I see you, Mike. You did make a great point about preferential treatment when you mentioned Black Lives Matter. But I think white people complex history in the United States. And we were at the bottom of the totem pole. I think giving us a few years of focus can definitely help as far as equality is concerned. I'm not someone to play the victim role either, just to tell you that. I'm not like this whole woe is me type of person. But I am someone, I look at reality. I look at, I don't get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to jobs. I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Even when I'm as equally qualified as somebody else, as my white counterpart, they're more likely to get hired. I don't have a record. I've never been arrested or anything like that. But that doesn't seem to matter when you're dealing in corporate America. People want people who look like them. And I think when someone doesn't resemble you or your culture, I think that strikes fear in them. Now, as far as law enforcement is concerned, I've been harassed many times since I was young for no reason. I think the police force should be vetted more strictly than they are.
Agreed.
And that goes for black officers too. I think people should be vetted strictly. A lot of, as your other boy mentioned, I forgot his name. I apologize, man. He was speaking first when he talked about white people getting killed at a more proportionate rate. That's because there's more white people in the United States. There's more white people than there are black people.
Yes, that's true. But on the counter to that, when it comes to the racial profiling of police, black men make up 6% of the nation, but yet they make up 50% of the violent crimes. To me, statistically speaking, if I'm looking at factual information only, I'm going to be a little bit more intimidated walking up to a black man than I would a white man. But yet, why is that statistically 25% more of the shootings and violent crimes are at white guys? Yes, the news is playing off that there's a lot of hatred between white and black, and there's a lot of you know, just to me, almost prefab built hatred projected into our lives. And people take that as a norm, and people take that to be acceptable. You know, I just don't think that, you know, we want to look at anything other than statistics, then it is unfair. Again, I don't agree with the fact that cops do what they do. Okay.
Right.
I don't, but to sit there and say that, you know, white people, majority of white people, or the United States built on racist is fair enough to say that that's just instilled in the black culture towards white people, you know, because you were to walk into a all black church, for example, you know, you're not going to get, you're going to get welcomed. Church is church, you know, but people are going to whisper and whisk and say, hey, what is this guy doing here? But the odds of that happening
that's not true.
Chris, I don't mean to interrupt
to
you.
each church their own.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say my experience as a white man being in plenty of predominantly black churches. You know, I've been in a ton of black churches, and not once have I ever felt unwelcomed or felt like they were talking about me or whispering. I can't remember the name of the church. It's in Atlanta. The last time I was in Atlanta, I stopped at a church. Trip Lee used to be the pastor of it, and I ended up having to park across the street because there were a lot of people there. And I barely opened my door before somebody stopped me, greeted me, shook my hand, and said, I've never seen you around here before. What's your name? I introduced myself, and he said, I follow me. And he walked me through the church and introduced me to every single individual inside the church. And he invited me to sit down with him and his family. And so I'm getting my perspective from being in black churches.
Yeah.
Now I can say that I've had both instances. I've been in very metropolitan churches in different areas, one in New York, one in Boston, and one in Chicago. And I will tell you, I have been in churches where I have been very warmly welcomed. And then I have been in churches where it was not a warm welcome at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen, everything we're talking about is run by
for the
humans.
church remark, because I should have left it as a very.
No, you're good. I just wanted to, you know, we're just sharing our pieces here. So you have nothing to apologize for.
Any system that's run by humans in general is going to be flawed. And we were having this discussion the other day, and I said, you know what, then if that's the case, if we're saying, hey, listen, there's a way to fix this, what is the way to fix it? The only reason I'm asking is because the craziness that's going on right now isn't fixing anything.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. What Mike and Chris, what do you guys think is the solution for all this?
I definitely think, like, and I apologize, what was the gentleman's name with the really killer beard?
Oh, it's Tromonte.
Dude, your beard is on point, by the way. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm jealous of you. Tromonte. But I think he's right. I think we do need to vet our law enforcement better. I know I work with law enforcement daily. Or I won't even say daily, but I work with law enforcement. We're trained by the deputies of Pasco County. I work with the sheriff's department. I'm an armed guard in the school system. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we see that. And I will tell you, the HR nightmare course that we had to go through, that was about 50 hours long, was very, very, very diverse and very, very well written, we'll say. Yeah. I think that I don't believe all law enforcement goes through the same training that we went through. Mm-hmm. And I think he's right. I think we do need to vet people better, black and white. I mean, we see it on both sides. I think it both needs to be, and I think there needs to be a no tolerance for any kind of racial profiling, any kind of racial issues like that. Because if we look at with George Floyd, what did they say? That the cop that did this had 18 complaints against him? Mm-hmm. That man should have never been on the street to begin with. We can all agree on that.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. That to me shows right there, that shows a broken system. 100%. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He should have never been on the street to begin with. Do I think that there's ever going to be a way 100% to fix it? No. And the only reason I say that, we're sinful. We're people. We're flawed. Black, white, it doesn't matter. We're all flawed.
Yeah. My question is more so geared toward what you think is going to take for us to not have to yell out Black Lives Matter. Not just about cops. Because when that statement is said, it's more than just to be about cops. It's about the whole system. So
I agree.
What do you think is going to take
accountability?
To fix the system?
I think it's going to be accountability, like Chris said, and I think we should have more diversity in our system as a whole. There needs to be more diversity. Laws need to be put in place. Petitions need to be done. I mean, we look at how many, and here's what I would ask. I mean, we do see, I personally see quite a few people of color in different political aspects or political positions, but you don't see as many of them. And my question on that would be, well, why? I have a question on that. Why? And the ones that you do see, let's be real. We see this mayor in Chicago. The lady is out for blood in a wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And she's hurting the people around her, black or white. She's hurting the people around her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a good question as far as what we could do or why we don't see enough variety. I think when we look back into like Reconstruction and Jim Crow, that's a lot of the reason why we're behind as far as being in in positions of power like politics, mayors, governors. We've only had one black president out of the 45 that we have. Like the mayor, I'm somebody, wrong is wrong. I don't care what color you are. I think everybody, you're wrong, you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Correct.
However, when it's just, to me, it's my opinion. I think when white people are wrong in the public eye, they get a slap on the wrist a lot of the time. When black people are wrong in the public eye, we get railroaded. The new Jim Crow is a real thing. There are a lot of black men in prison for nonviolent offenses, overwhelmingly so. Take, for instance, somebody like Dylan Roof, right? Everyone knows Dylan Roof's story. The treatment he got was if like he won an award or something after he shot him. I can get arrested with some weed outside. I'm going to go to prison. I've never had an offense.
What about the swimmer, Brock Turner?
And that goes to what you were saying, Mike and Chris, about there needs to be equality. That's what we're fighting for, equality. If we get arrested, you get arrested the same day I get arrested, we should both get tried the same. We should both serve the same sentence.
Agreed.
Agreed. That doesn't happen for some reason.
Can I ask you something though?
Go ahead.
In terms of today's society, so when you have movements like Black Lives Matter and you see these rallies and these riots and things like that over things like this, do you think that's counterproductive to your movement as a whole? Because if I look at that and you go, hey, you know, when a black man dies, we're going to burn down a city. And if a white man dies, we're going to hold a rally and people are going to yell and people are going to do things, or they're not going to do anything at all for that matter. Don't you think that's counterproductive? Because when I see something like that and they go, hey, Black Lives Matter, oh, this was an injustice, we're going to burn down a city, I don't sympathize. I'm sorry, I have a hard time sympathizing with burning down a Target.
We don't need your sympathy. We need help with the solution.
Okay, but do you think burning down a Champs Sports and a finish line
let me say this. We've done it peacefully already. And when it was peaceful, there was a problem. Kaepernick peacefully protested, knelt down, and there was an issue with him doing it because there was disrespect to the flag.
And then he sat down.
And then he sat down.
People
and there was an issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, go on. Listen, go on. Ahmad. God, I forgot my guy's name. Ahmad.
Aubrey.
No. Maybe it was Amir Ahmad. I think it was a basketball player in the '90s that protested during the national anthem, and then he got thrown out the league. Martin Luther King peacefully protested, and then he got shot, and then was killed in the hospital. So the peaceful protest is aspect when we're saying we need help and please stop killing us. We're begging for our lives, the lives of our children, our wives, our men, our grandmothers, our nieces, nephews, everyone. We're asking to please not get killed. We just want to live, and we can't even get that. So
do you feel that more black men are killed by cops or by black men?
Let me hold on, because the problem with it is when we have an issue and we're asking for help, we're asking white people to help us and help us voice our opinions and stuff like that to break the system down, to rebuild. It's not a white person's response to be, you're not doing it right, because I don't like how you're doing it. I have an issue, and because I don't like how you're doing it, I'm not listening to what you have to say. That's how it comes across. I'm not saying you're doing that, Mike. I'm saying that's how it comes across to us, that we have to qualify. We have to qualify to be heard. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's part of the reason why I'm saying, if you understand the foundation for how all this is built, in order for us to have true equality, it has to be torn down. Not just the structure, the foundation of it has to be destroyed. The foundation of that is white supremacy. So we need your help as white people to not only stand with us, but fight with us to tear that structure down. That's what we need. It's not about whether black men get killed more by cops or by each other, because in all honesty, whoever you're in proximity to, you're going to get killed by statistically the most. So black people, white people, Asians, Hispanics, it doesn't matter. That all takes place in all those communities. So we're not any different than white people in that sense.
Okay.
But we need help.
Then I answer your question,
accountability.
Then the accountability needs to be there. But here's the thing on that: if what you're saying is, hey, I need the accountability needs to be there for the system. I agree with you.
Right.
I think for everybody.
When you're saying for everybody, but when you're saying, hey, you know what, you need help, and you have people that are willing to help, I don't think. Again, I'm trying to word it correctly. That when you're saying, hey, listen, we need help with certain things, then don't get me wrong. I have a problem with white supremacy. If I see, and I live in an area where we have white supremacy is prevalent.
What is white supremacy to you, though?
There's literal KKK near us. Where Mike and I and Chris live, Tromonte's in Tampa, an hour away. There's literal KKK rallies that happen near us.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I had one 45 minutes from my house.
I work with our church has a food pantry, and a lot of the homeless and a lot of the drug addicts and a lot of the people that come through there, we do have a group that comes through, and they have a compound, and they are white supremacists. Now, the only way that I can change that person, because I cannot change that person, is to show them the same love that I would show anybody else. And you know what? Show them that love is what they're doing is wrong, but the only way to change that is to change their mindset. But that's on both sides of it. That's on both sides of the. I can't change. I have to change their heart. I have to, and I can't change it. The only thing I can do is show love and hope that the love that I show will change their heart. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, you know what? They're going to have to stand accountable for that.
Mike,
Eventually.
I agree with what you're saying, Mike. You did ask a question. Derrick touched on it. Mike, you said, is it counterproductive for people to be burning down businesses and looting? I think all of that. I think all that stuff isn't good at all. When you're looting, especially like if you're looting small businesses and stuff like places that can't recover
Correct.
from permanent damage. I think that's wrong. When you a lot of historical things that have happened, a lot of revolutions that have happened, a lot of our foundational aspects for America have been built on war and blood. Christianity with the Crusades, slavery, obviously, the civil rights movement. Unfortunately, a lot of things that we don't agree with will happen for change to take place. So I'm in full agreement, just on a humane level. You know, if I owned a business and somebody looted to burn down, I would be upset. No matter who it was, I would be upset. But I have seen some people who've had their businesses affected by the recent happenings in America across the country. And some, not all of them, some of them have been like, you know what, I'll just take the L. If change comes from this, I'll just take it. But I am in agreement with you that it's not right. I don't think people should be running to burn down, but that's actually not happening as much as y'all mentioned about the media, as the media portrays it. The media's portraying like it's just happening everywhere you turn, and that's not.
No, it's not.
Right.
And I want to say I was late today because I was coming from a protest. I was at the Curtis Hickson protest today, and as we all got together before we started our march, the leader of the protest, he said, if any of y'all are here to riot or loot, then leave, because we don't want you here. We're not here for that. We're trying to bring about real change. And he stressed it for about 5 minutes long that is not what we want. We're not here to fight with anybody. We're just here to march and to spread love, right? So we're marching. We're probably less than 10 minutes into our march. Me and the group of people that I were with were right there near the front of the march, okay? And nothing happened, no violence, no disrespect was shared, and they tear gassed us. I still smell it on me. I can feel it. They tear gassed us. They were macing people, and we all started to run because we're getting hit with tear gas. They're macing us, and then they start shooting at us with rubber bullets. Nothing was done. The media will say, Fox News has already said that violence had happened, and that's why the bombs were set off today. I was there. Nothing violent happened, and I can guarantee you that. So I think in both senses of the media, Derrick has started OTS to bring about factual news, because there are definitely, Fox News has their agenda to share, CNN has their agenda to share, and that is why OTS exists, and that's what Derrick runs here. And I want to just share my experience, is that I don't think that when these peaceful protests are planned, that riots and looting, that is not the plan. There are definitely opportunists that are there, and they just want to destroy. And that's their problem, that's their heart, right? But that is not the overall position of those marching for Black Lives Matter. And these few people in this bunch that are there to destroy, to see things burn down, to steal, to rob, to do whatever they want to do, there's literally few of them. You know what I mean? In the grand scope of things, in comparison to those who are there to peacefully protest. So this bad bunch is making a bad name for BLM.
Okay, and I agree with you on that one. But here's what I would say: having family that works in law enforcement, and you hearing of cops getting killed for stupid reasons, do you, and not saying it was right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but do you not see, if they see a group of people that outnumber them, a reason to use a non-lethal? It's a very uncomfortable feeling. I've been shot with rubber rounds. I have experienced a lot of those things that you're talking about, and it is a very uncomfortable feeling. But do you feel that there is a justified reason for them, whether they're black, white, regardless, to see an overwhelming crowd of people come to protest there, marching on them, that they could perceive that as a threat? And they are using non-lethals. They're not shooting at people. They're not killing people. They are using non-lethal. Correct?
What's the point of using that force when nothing's happening? That's my problem.
And that's what I wanted to stress. Nothing had happened.
I don't get that.
You and I both personally know people who have marched and protest against abortion in large groups of people. And of course, there are some of those protests that are tiny, right? But there have been large protests against abortion, and those non-lethal measures were not taken. For what reason?
I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that just it's built up such a big callus that you know, like you said earlier, there are those few people involved in this that have been the extremists, and that's on both sides of the spectrum, being the people that are pro or against, you know. But what seems to be, to me, starting the complication, because I'm out here in Plant City right now, they started off perfectly fine sitting in a racetrack parking lot. Racetrack had closed down and they had taken over the entire parking lot. Police were fine. They were there just to simply chauffeur like they do at the parades and things like that, and make sure things didn't get out of hand. Nobody was doing anything wrong. You know, a police officer's job is to serve and protect the community. Now,
as a whole,
yes. And when a enormous amount of people intentionally block off, majority of the time is what's been going on, huge intersections. Okay, it'd be perfectly fine if you want to stand on the side, voice your plane, but not interact with somebody or interfere in somebody else's life is not fair. You know, yes, you want to be heard, and that is perfectly understood. You know, and I understand that's the concept of blocking traffic, is so your voice is heard. But just as much as you want to be heard, is it a necessity or even fair to demand that people that probably agree with you, you know, but have their own lives to live? You know, I'm for the true meaning behind what's going on. I'm for the true meaning of those who are trying to do that in the right way. But I'm also for those people that say, you know what, I think this is BS. I think this is just a reason for the extreme left and the extreme right to show face. You know, it's a reason for, you know, people to just flip this around on one thing. And that one thing is everybody's human and everybody needs to be treated properly. Correct. You know, there's no other thing.
That is the problem. We're not being treated like humans, and we're not being treated properly. There is no such thing as equality in this country.
I agree, but that goes towards, you know, I'm a convicted felon. Okay, I don't have equality either.
Right.
Okay, I can't own a gun ever.
Right.
I technically can't even put a baseball bat in my car unless I have a glove to go with it. Is that fair? Because the crime I committed was not violent. But you know what? They have to do these things called, you know, basically putting a wall right here. And if you happen to hit the wall on the way through, you don't go through. I'm sorry about your luck. They have to do it in order to keep structure involved.
Okay.
Can I ask something real quick? LJ, you said, just to bring it back to the abortion thing, the abortion march. How many abortion marches have you seen ever on TV or anywhere in the media that people are burning down and rioting over? They do have large marches. They have large marches. LGBTQ or whatever it's called, the alphabet. They have marches all the time. And it doesn't incite violence, it doesn't incite fear.
Hundreds
And then you
of
have
abortion
others that
clinics
do.
have been blown. Hundreds of abortion clinics have been blown up.
Thank
That's
you.
violent.
Thank you.
By Christians.
Thank
right?
you.
Again, you're talking, but and I will say that is 100% wrong, and it shouldn't be
Right.
that
No,
way.
I know you think that.
And Christians in general, and when you use any type of, we'll say any type of reason to be a guise to spread either hatred or spread any kind of terroristic act, whether it be the Christian Crusades. Let's be real. That was a guise of people using quote unquote faith to gain political power. That's all that was. Were they really Christians? If you were to ask me based on what the Crusades were, I would tell you probably not. We qualified as the Christian Crusades because of what they said they stood for. But did they really stand for that? In the same respect, how many people are you talking about that are protesting saying, hey, Black Lives Matter? And then you have those opportunists that do ruin it for you guys, in that aspect.
But the people that are opportunists aren't there for the protests. They're there to start calamity. So the issue is people conflate the idea that the people that are looting and all that other stuff are Black Lives Matter, are people that are protesting the death, the murder of George Floyd, of Breonna Taylor, of Ahmaud Arbery. You're listen, we're frustrated. We're frustrated.
I understand.
Now, the problem comes when we're not being heard and we're frustrated. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
I have to qualify what my issue is just to be heard. Just to be heard. But just a few weeks ago, I saw white people with ARs storming up to the state capitol and protesting because they couldn't get haircuts or they couldn't get their nails painted. I don't know where this argument comes from. I'm sorry.
I think that's idiotic too.
I liken it to all of us have had girlfriends. I'm married. Some of us are married. When your woman isn't being heard, how does she react? And the girlfriends, some of the girlfriends that we've had in the past, some of them like to throw things and get angry.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed my wife doesn't do that. So
mine don't either. You know, I'm but Mike, I want to ask you and Chris, do y'all, I mean, I don't know y'all very well. Y'all seem pretty intelligent, pretty conversational guys. How have y'all had to, I don't know if you've had to in the recent weeks, address people in your family who may be racist or who may not understand?
I will tell you that I come from, my wife is Puerto Rican, okay? My mother-in-law was never accepted by my father-in-law's side of the family, to the point where they used to address my wife's little sister, because she had darker skin, because she's Puerto Rican, as a little N-word. And they have essentially completely blocked off that side of the family to a point to where they have zero respect for that half of the family. And it's over the fact that my mother-in-law is Puerto Rican, and they didn't like the fact that their white son had himself a little Latino wife. And she's an amazing person. She's one of the biggest blessings in my life. She blessed me with an amazing wife who has blessed me with amazing children. Mm-hmm. And she has such a heart for everyone around her and will give the shirt off her back. The racism that I see, even in our family, is hard. And it's destructive at every level. At every level. I see it that that the fact that they always felt like second-rate citizens to their own family, that the grandchildren that were 100% pure European or white or whatever you want to say got preferential treatment. I do. I see that as wrong. I will tell you this. I come from a family who we are not like that at all. And it was very almost unsettling to my wife and my kids at first with my parents to get full acceptance. You know what I'm saying? For really them to love you and not have an ulterior motive and an alternative way of thinking of you. That they just accepted you for who you are. I don't think anybody, regardless, that to know that my daughter, who is my wife, if you meet her, she doesn't look Puerto Rican. My daughter does not look like she has any Latino in her at all. But to know that she feels like a second-rate citizen to her own family is terrible. And I wouldn't want anybody to feel like that. So I don't want anybody to ever have to go through that. And the only thing I can do is lead by my convictions. Would I stand with someone who says, you know what, that's wrong? Absolutely. Yes, I will. 100%. I think that is 100% wrong. Will I stand for a movement that says that Black Lives Matter? Absolutely. But I think by saying Black Lives Matter as a whole, when you put separation in there, the separation where you're incorporating, hey, Black Lives Matter, you shouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. And I hear what you're saying. You're saying that because you feel like it doesn't compute that way. And you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to say Black Lives Matter. You should be able to say all lives matter, and people should go, yeah, you know what they do.
And that's what's being said on the opposite angle too, because I kind of feel like we're saying the same things.
We are. We're definitely saying the same things.
I posted on Facebook that if you really think all lives matter, then you wouldn't view Black Lives Matter as a statement that needs to be corrected.
But here's the thing. I do feel, and I don't want to say I feel that it has to be corrected.
You're putting a label on it.
Yeah, I think I think by you giving it that label and you saying that there is a segregation there, you're feeding into the cause that you shouldn't have to. You're giving it power that you shouldn't give. That by saying Black Lives Matter, you're giving it power that
we're giving what power?
You're giving power to the fact that you're different and you're not. You're the same as me.
Oh, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. No, it's not. Here's the thing. You should be able to look at me and see that I'm different. That's the problem. We're not being seen as different. Systematically, we're treated like that. But
so you think I should look at you differently than I look at someone of my color?
I'm saying to recognize what makes me a Black man. I'm saying to see me as a Black man. Okay. Because
why can't I just see you as a man and you see me as a man? Why do I have to be a white man and you have to be a Black man? Can't you be a man and I be a man?
That is the case. That is the case.
Okay.
But we're not being seen. So because we're not being seen, what our struggles are not being seen. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And that's where I feel there's a catch-22. I understand what you're saying. You're saying because you're a Black man and people view you as less of a person, that
it's in the law with 3/5 of a man.
You're what?
3/5 of a man. That's what is written in law.
In what law? I'm asking. I don't know. I'm asking.
I believe that's in the Constitution.
Law?
Is that not correct? Is that not correct? About a Black man being 3/5 of a man?
I believe that was taken care of. I'm not sure though.
But I see what Derrick is coming from. And Mike, in a utopian society, yeah, we would be able to see each other if everything was equal, as you're a man, I'm a man. But in America, unfortunately, from how me and Derrick feels, it does not feel that way. When I walk out my door, it does not feel like I'm equal to anyone else. And I feel like that almost wherever I go. I should be able to feel, as you said, Mike, I agree with you 100%. I should be able to feel like this is another man, just another man just like me.
Most
When
definitely.
I go into the grocery store at late at night with my hoodie on because it's cold, I'm not doing it as a fashion statement. When I'm driving, when I'm driving at night, why are you pulling me over? And I've done nothing wrong. You just look. Maybe I'm in an area that is hot. And you're looking for somebody to pull over, and I just fit the description. Whatever the case is, that should not routinely or constantly happen.
I agree.
Even on an educational level. Because I'm big on education. I think the more educated everybody is, the better society we can have. A lot of people are uneducated, and with the media, there's a lot of miseducation, and there's a lot of misinformation that's put out to people that people just grasp onto. And if I'm misinformed and I pass this misinformation to my friends, that's just going to go in a circle, and we're not going to fully get educated on what's really going on. Just as a black person, though, just as a black man, just to be blunt with y'all, I don't feel valued like I should. Mike, I wish there were more people like you who just seen, okay, I'm gonna treat you equally. I'm gonna treat you fair. I'm gonna treat you justly. But my experience of 32 years on this earth has not been like that with most white people that I've encountered.
At all.
Yeah, if there were more like you, Mike, if there were more like you, Chris, and y'all can just see, we understand y'all support, like LJ, me and Derrick wouldn't have much to say. But we have a lot to say because wherever we go, we are treated as lesser than. And I appreciate y'all coming on and telling y'all honest feelings. I do agree with some of your points. I didn't come on here with the intention to like go back and forth with y'all, nothing like that.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty open minded. I do appreciate y'all saying that. I learned a lot from what y'all said. But just from my experience, man, if I would have met brothers like y'all earlier in life and more consistently, I would have had a better American experience. But
I believe that goes both ways for us as well. I mean, especially here in Florida, there's both sides of the spectrum. There's real rural areas in which the black population is if at all nil. Where Tampa, there's a more variety of cultures. I personally have grown up in a more rural area, so I come off as a stereotypical redneck, I guess you would call them. And if I go into certain areas, I get that same uncomfortable looked upon as, you're not equal. And, I think a lot of that has to do with the proximity as to where you're at in the world, the proximity of where you're at to a major city, because out in Brooksville, okay, there are cities that are dominantly black. And
Oh yeah.
But yet those particular group of men and women in those cities act completely different and seem to be a little bit more socially acceptable in communicating with the redneck, shall I call us, than if I were to go to Tampa. I stick out like a sore thumb. So I think a lot of the discomfort and a lot of the animosity and just stereotypical feelings are built on what somebody looks at somebody and says, oh, that must be a redneck. Or black culture, they like to wear baggy clothes, they like to wear hats, hoodies, as you said. In the rural area, some people look at that as hoodlums. Look at LJ, for example. LJ dresses in a different style that I do, but because I know LJ, some of my friends, I'm like, what is he a wannabe rapper in this? I'm like, no, that man actually is a Christian rap artist. That man interacts with a lot of people, and it's just a style. Society today has based styles as somebody's personality and based certain criteria that somebody may or may not have as an identifying point in who they supposedly are. to the next person. And I think that's where the problem lies in not just, you know, what's going on in today's society, but what's going on in the world and for generations and generations. That's where that stronghold needs to be broken. And that's where, as you were saying, Derrick, we need to rebuild. We need to completely annihilate all of those tension, you know, built just areas. You know, we need to take away the stereotype. I need to be able to look at you as you look at me, as I look at, you know, the next person. We need to be able to say, okay, let's close our eyes and hear voices and not faces. You know,
Correct.
and I think if we were able to start doing that, you know, you're saying when is this going to happen? Well, you know, the old saying is Rome wasn't built in a day. And my morals and beliefs are, if you want something bad enough, you'll do what it takes to get there. I understand that's the drive behind Black Lives Matters, is they're looking to get the point across, because, you know, enough's enough, and it's been going on for so long. But, you know, with the twisting in social media, you know, people posting, I mean, I'm glad they're starting to filter things on there now finally and saying that this isn't truthful. But, you know, for so long, these were untapped, unedited, anything things. And people were able to post whatever they wanted on there, and it was posted as factual. Wikipedia used to be one of the worst places to get information from, because you used to be able to go on there and edit it and change it. Mm-hmm. You know, I think as a whole, if we were to sit down and do one step at a time, reach the next person, the next person, the next person, you know, eventually that chain will go. Eventually something will change. When you lose hope in that ability is when all these negative things start to take place. You know, when you start forcing something, you're going to break something. When something breaks, it might not be able to be replaced.
I agree. Derrick, Mike, one of y'all can chime in. I just have a quick question. One of the ways I definitely think stuff can take place is people need to vote more. I don't know what the issue is with people. You have your right to not vote. You do have the right to exercise that. I think people should vote more, especially in local elections, which will help them more directly. But Derrick, you mentioned about the framework that the country was founded on breaking down. That, to me, it has to start from the top. And that, as Mike mentioned, there has to be accountability that the structure in which we're operating in, whether you're in the White House, federal government, is not working for the vast majority of people. Something has to happen. So Mike or Derrick, how do y'all think that can happen?
I think you're right when it comes to, one, we have to get out there and vote from local all the way up. I don't know how you guys feel. I'll be honest. I don't think we've had any good candidates for presidencies in years. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't take this the wrong way. I was not an Obama fan by any means. I'm not. Mm-hmm. I think Trump says stupid, ridiculous stuff all the time. Do I think he was the lesser of two evils? Yes. Do I think he was the greatest pick for the country? No. I think there needs to be one. I don't like career politicians, to tell you the truth, at all. I vote. When I vote, I don't vote based on color. I vote based on morals. I do. I vote based on who I think is, and I am a Christian. I vote based on who I think is going to show Christianity in the best way. Mm-hmm. In a fact of love. I vote based on morals, not on feeling, I guess. I don't know what to tell you on that.
Mm-hmm. Derrick?
So let me ask you this, not to put your information all out there, but did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So if
you can ask me an honest question, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. So if you're talking about voting based off morals,
I thought he was the lesser of two evils. That's what I just said. I said he was not the best candidate, but if it was between him and Hillary, do I think Hillary was a better pick? Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
I don't think either one of them was a good pick, and I'll admit that right now. The reason I voted for him, one, is he is not a career politician. And I thought that it is time for somebody to get in office that is not a career politician. I would have voted Ross Perot in if I could have voted back then. I'm a little because he wasn't a politician. He was a businessman, and I think that's part of the problem. Is we see this as something to be won, a prize to be won, and it was, when you look back at our forefathers, it was you had a moral obligation to the people. It wasn't a job though. Like, you owned other businesses to support yourself, and it wasn't a job, it was an office. We view everything in government as a job now. I have a friend who's a councilman. I'm not going to mention his name, but the reason he went into that is because he knows it's profitable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even people who
definitely
run for office. I had someone come in who was telling me he was running for office just so he could get an expenditure account, and he was going on lavish dinners and different things with this expenditure account, and that's wrong. That's not the way to influence change in any way, shape, or form. Getting people like that out of office I'm all for. I don't think Congress should have 40-year runs of people in Congress. I think
I completely agree.
That's part of the biggest problem there.
I agree with that.
It hasn't been working for this many years. Let's change something. Let's change them.
I'll agree with that. So, but as a Christian, as someone with morals, what is your perspective on this election?
On this election, I will hear out every candidate that is out there, and I have times where I have voted for someone who's not one of the front runners, in hopes that, hey, maybe enough people will vote for them and they will pull through and be able to actually make change. But I do not think that I will always listen to all sides of it. And I will tell you, I'm a Christian, but I am open-minded. I want to hear the other side of it. And I want to know, well, why do you believe what you believe? If you can show me a good reason for why you believe what you believe, even if I don't agree with it, we can say, you know what? I at least understand it. And sometimes if I understand it enough and I go, you know what? That makes sense. I was talking with a buddy of mine who's a complete leftist. We were talking about Antifa yesterday. And I told him, I said, Antifa itself as an organization is not an organization, first of all. So you can't label it as a terrorist organization. So Trump was very wrong in that. Antifa as a whole was a thought process. Racism is a thought process. Is it wrong? Yes. But is it terroristic? Not until you put it into action. Antifa originally was a good.
There you go. It is put into action. That's how we feel. It is action. So to us, this is domestic terrorism. Can you see that? Because
can I see that you feel that it is terrorism?
That's how it feels. When our government is able to put out people, officers that can do what Chauvin did to George Floyd, that's terrorism.
Oh, at 100%.
So this is what we're talking about when we say that our lives matter, because.
But if you can correct me, wasn't there a Korean officer, a Latino officer, and an African American officer there with him during this entire thing?
Yeah, most definitely.
Can I interrupt you guys for 1 second? Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Tremonte has to run, so I just wanted to thank Tremonte for hopping on. Before you leave, Mike, Derrick, and Chris, I want to ask you guys a question. I don't think we're done. I think we're gonna go a little longer. I would like to do another one of these if Mike and Chris, if you guys are, I know Tromonte and Derrick are fine. Are you guys cool to come back and do another episode maybe in a month? What I want to do, if you guys are with it, I would like you, and I mentioned this on last night's episode, I would like all of us to read White Fragility and come on and discuss it. Would you guys be open to that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm open. Hey, thank y'all, brothers, man. It was nice talking to y'all. Bro.
It was nice talking to you too.
Mike, Chris, I'll get with y'all again soon, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna have to find out where you go for your barber, man. I'm telling you. I can't get that, man. I can't get that. I look like a homeless man. I don't get it.
Hey, man, y'all please stay safe and love to all of y'all families, man.
You too,
You
man.
too, bro.
You too.
God bless.
Peace.
Thanks, Monte. All right, I interrupted y'all. I apologize. Go ahead.
No. And I'll let this be my final point. But I'm not discounting the other officers that were there. Most definitely, all of them are complicit in this. What I'm saying is, for officers to be able to be in that position to do that to one of ours, and honestly, if we're all saying this one thing about America, where we're united and this is our country, this is our people, everyone should be pissed off by this.
We are.
This is not just our fight if we're talking about America, and that's where it feels like we're on our own. You know what I'm saying? That's where it feels like we're on our own. Because
I get that.
Because
it
keeps getting thrown out like, oh, Black Lives Matter is just doing this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden, every time someone screams Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and it feels like we're being ignored. You know what I'm saying? That's what it feels like. So if we're fellow Americans, you know what I'm saying? If that's what we are, fight. Help
Chris,
us.
Mike, could you guys see where, when somebody says Black Lives Matter, and you guys may say all lives matter, do you see where that can come across as discrediting the other person?
Can I see that? Absolutely. Yes, I can. Because I can see from his perspective where we're saying, well, your life does matter, but just as much as everyone else's, and he wants to feel heard, and by that it's discrediting him, so he doesn't feel heard at that point. And I get that. I just think there's a better way of going around it.
I saw something online that basically had said, okay, so say Derrick and I are neighbors, right? So Derrick and I are neighbors, and Derrick's house is on fire. And he's calling the police, and he's trying to get his house taken care of, and then I come running outside and be like, hey, wait a minute, what about my house? He's like, well, no, your house is cool. My house is what's on fire right now. My house is the problem, and I'm trying to bring attention to my house so I can fix this problem. And I sit here and be like, no, well, you know what? I need some attention on my house as well. And that was the best way that I saw it explained, and I just wanted to share that and get y'all's piece on that.
That's a good way of putting it, I think, in my mind. But I think again that sitting there and protesting that, using somebody that really you shouldn't be using as right now the face of Black Lives Matter,
right,
is kind of taking you off the scheme of what you're trying to do. What I watched, again, like you just said, a video on Facebook and YouTube of a young Black lady speaking about Mr. Floyd, and it seems to be, it seems to be that the problem there is you martyr somebody who is in essence a criminal, a lifelong criminal. Yes, the situation at hand, okay, was wrong, and the media has never once said what those cops, well, I can't say the media did because I don't know what it said all over the world, but you don't really see anybody saying in the white culture that the cop was right or justified. And if they are, that person's an idiot.
Because
Yes,
everybody
but
clear as
the-
day can
Correct.
say that
This time, because there's
Right.
been Mike, the
Right.
church you and I went to, the church you and I'll leave the name out of it. The church you and I went to.
Okay.
There's an individual in that church that I was having that I actually got pulled aside because I posted something in support of Eric Garner, who was killed in New York for selling cigarettes. Okay, and he from the I Can't Breathe comes from that murder, right? And that was only what, 3 years ago. That's fresh. That's recent. And he told me that I needed to stop sharing in support of this gentleman because he deserved to die.
nobody deserves to die.
Nobody deserves to die. Who don't? What is the first name of that person?
Well, if I say the first name, then everybody gonna know. You
Okay.
It's who I've had issues with.
Okay, me and you will have a talk later then on this one. This is going to be
Okay.
a separate topic for me and you.
Yeah.
I will tell you that no one deserves to die in that aspect. The only one that I do believe in eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. Do I think that one did not justify the other actions? One action, whether he's a career criminal or not, he does not justify. And I'll
Correct.
agree with Chris in this
Correct.
aspect. Chris is saying that if you talk to any of the quote unquote white folks and say, I don't know anybody, I have not heard one person go, oh no, he was justified in that. I have not heard one person say that.
No, but the idea of bringing up his past, where we don't ever bring up criminal past of a white person that
No, but you
is
bring up the
killed.
ancestry. What's the difference?
I'm
Let me-
sorry.
let
Bring
me-
up.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
They tend to bring up, the ancestry of us, saying the slaves and this and that and the third. We're in 2020. The bringing up somebody's past is helping to understand the future. Okay, regardless of what topic it is. In order to learn, you have to repeat or redo or understand what has already happened. Okay, just as much as you're bringing in the fact that white heritage enslaved black heritage is the same as bringing in the fact of you martyring somebody. It's
That
not
is not the
justifying
same.
it.
That
It's
is
not
not the same.
justifying.
No, because we're not justifying if someone was a criminal. I don't know George Floyd's past. I'm not going to sit here and demonize him over whatever.
Can I speak on
But-
George Floyd's past real quick?
Go ahead.
Everybody's saying he's a career criminal. He got arrested in high school.
Bro, that's what I was gonna say. What I heard
old-
from Steven Jackson was nothing about that, and that was a
He's
close friend
been
of
in
his.
prison numerous times.
But
It's
let's
all on-
okay. I know two individuals who personally knew George Floyd. They were from here in Tampa, and now they live in Fourth Ward, Texas. Okay, and they knew George Floyd from there. Obviously, he didn't live there anymore. He's in Minneapolis, and I think it was up to like 2 years ago. George Floyd was a minister. He was a street minister. He was very, very, very involved in churches and prison ministry and stuff of that sort. So let me ask you guys: do you believe that people can be redeemed? That people can change?
100%.
Yes.
100%.
But
So
to have,
why are people only mentioning his faults? Can we not
Okay.
mention just because he's not a thug? Like he's.
But
he's
I don't
he's-
understand understand the
Exactly
reason to
as-
bring up his criminal history if he has one. What does that
He
have to
didn't do anything wrong in this case.
What? Thank you. That has nothing to do with the end result of that man being killed by 4 cops. Nothing. And any video that we've seen
Correct.
has shown that he was cooperating with those officers.
And how
Did you read
possible
the
is
police report?
I don't trust
No,
the police report.
I don't either. I don't trust cops.
I mean, it's a recorded statement that is printed out. Okay, it's a 911 call. There's no police anything in there. The police call.
I heard an interview with the gentleman who made the call, and
Okay.
he's talked about how he regrets it.
That's fine, but what was said is what was said.
What was said?
And what was said was that there was a man who seemed out of it and dilute or irritated and high on something. They mentioned the word I don't want to say
Autopsy.
drug overdose, but
There's
in the autopsy report, both autopsy
Nothing in the
reports
system.
came back with
with methamphetamine and
The opposite of what I've seen.
I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm saying based on what I've seen, that's the opposite of what I've seen.
I have not seen that either.
Have you seen the what was her name? You mentioned her name before.
Candace
and
Owens.
She cited. She's got multiple videos up right now. The same
Candace
thing.
Owens. Candace Owens
she's
is
cited.
Candace Owens is not to be trusted with anything.
Why? She
doesn't know what she's talking about.
Do you know what citing material means? Citing your material means you go on an actual
Chris,
website.
I know. I went to
justified.
college. I know what citing material
That's fine.
means.
So then why would you say she's full of crap?
Because she is. No, she's not full of crap. She's full of shit.
Okay. Because she's citing material that's factual information.
What's factual?
How is that full of crap?
Listen to me.
Both toxicology reports.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know your past, so I'm not going to assume anything. But let's say you got high. Whatever drug you want to talk about, cocaine, heroin, whatever. Let's say that was in your system. You went out to the store. Someone called the cops. And said you look like you were on something. Not that they can confirm you were. You looked like it.
Correct.
And just because of that phone call, you got killed by 4 cops. Is it justified?
No, we're all saying it's not justified.
So what? No.
We're all saying it's not justified.
Right, but if there was a phone call that said that he had something in his system and that he was high, it looked like it. Not even it was confirmed. It looked like it.
Correct. But
what does bringing up his criminal history have to do with anything in this situation? Please tell me that.
Because when a cop responds to somebody who's already got priors, and I know this from firsthand, okay? Right. When a cop responds to somebody, okay, that has priors, okay, when he had gotten arrested, his name was already given, okay? The videos are taking place. The police have already had him in custody, and that's why this is such a big deal. So his name was already informed. They already have done his due diligence on him. They know who he is. They know his background, okay? Part of his background has to do with drugs, theft of firearms, and armed home invasion, okay? And if you don't believe that, it's on public record. Go look it up, okay? Now, with that information given to him, okay, you're going to tell me that if there's a call for somebody that's high, now they got this man's name, he's got known history for fraud, he's got known history for drugs, he's got known history for theft and armed home invasion, that you're not going to take him seriously. So now when he is serious, okay, yes, again, the justification is not there. He should not have died. It's not their position to do that. Okay, but the police are responding to something. Now they've got information now that they have to handle it as if that is the case, regardless if he's changed or not. If he's changed, congratulations to him. That's what you want to see with the justice system. You want to see people change. But if you sit there and say that the man's changed when he's accused of fraud at the time and he's still using drugs,
and that hasn't even been proven.
It's in his autopsy.
Chris, you and I both worked at Publix. You worked in the deli. I worked the register. We only checked the $50 and $100 bills. I can't speak on any other store. Right, I can speak for us at Publix. We check the 50s and we check the 100s. Okay,
correct. So,
and there was a police officer who came in and was having a discussion with me. He came through my line and he said, "Did you know that because I checked his 50?" He said, "Did you know that the counterfeit bills are typically not going to be a 50 or 100? It's going to be a 5, 10, and 20."
Correct.
Right. So how possible is it that this fraudulent bill that George Floyd had, this counterfeit bill that George Floyd had, how do we know that he knew that it was fraudulent?
That's an argument, a very good argument for a trial had it gotten that far. But I'm simply saying, you have to look at something for face value. Okay? If somebody throws a rock at you every day when they walk by you, okay, and then one day out of the blue they just go like this, you're going to expect them to throw a rock at you. Okay, if you're going off of a history of somebody, again, this is what a criminal record is. It's the background of somebody. If you're going to look up the background and how to handle a situation, the report crime on him was fraud. Okay, he's already got drug theft charge, which shows, hey, perhaps he's still doing the same things. Okay, you can argue both sides of the fence. The difference is the what ifs and the facts are there.
Let me ask you this, because if that's the case, I'm gonna go based off what you're saying. If he had drugs on him, if he had drugs in his system, and he did spend a counterfeit bill, let's say all that is true.
Okay.
Let's just go with that right there. The video that I saw, the 3-4 videos actually that I saw, they take him out of the car, walk him to the sidewalk, and he's not putting up a fight. He's walking with them. He sits down on a curb. The next thing you see, they already have him in the truck, and it takes 3 officers to punch him and all that stuff while he's in handcuffs in the truck. That's
nobody's
what
saying whether those 3 people are right or wrong.
But no. Let me finish this. All of that led to his death, right?
Okay.
So if that's the case, let's say he had the drugs in his system. Let's say he spent the counterfeit bill. Was the treatment of him even being in handcuffs before he even got killed justified?
Being in handcuffs before he got killed?
Yes.
To punch him?
100%.
No, I'm saying
no. I'm not
cops
saying
punching him and stuff in the car. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to say that's justified, but I will tell you this. When dealing with any situation when it comes to law enforcement, these guys react on instinct. It's not always correct. And then we get to pick it apart. And we get to pick it apart later and go, well, you should have done this. You should have done that. I watch my brother-in-law's lapel cam all the time. And sometimes the force, I'm like, really, did you have to do that? But I don't get to make that judgment call. I'm not there at that moment in the heat of that moment. And he has to make a judgment call. Is it always right? Probably not. He's human. But in the same respect, I think what he said, what Chris is trying to say, though, is we see a list of characteristics that of past. It's a history. It is. That's what it is. So they're going to make a judgment call. We can all agree that these 4 cops made really terrible judgment calls. I'm just saying, as a whole, we can't label all police officers in this way and go, well, they're just going to make a judgment call like that, because a lot of cops are not going to. A lot of cops are going to actually sit there and talk to you.
Can you see how we as Black people don't trust cops because this happens all the time? And they get off all the time.
It happens to white people, though, too.
No. Hold on. I'm not talking about white people. See, that's the problem. Every time we talk about something, it's automatic diversion. You see what I'm saying? This is the problem that we face. Here's the thing, though. You, as white men, have due process. We don't. We get tried. We're on the sidewalk. The officer is judge, jury, and executioner. That's what I saw.
In that aspect, yes, you did.
That's
in that
what,
instance,
that's,
you did
that's
see that.
what my people go through.
2 weeks ago.
Day.
2 weeks ago, a friend of mine.
Do you think that other people, though, of other creeds and other nationalities go through the same thing? Is all I'm going to ask you.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. When this happens to a white person, there's no delay in justice. When this happens to a Black person, there's delay in justice.
Okay, but then again, now we're talking the judicial system. We're not talking the cops. Now we're talking judicial system.
Right, but here's the thing. I'm also saying, do you not see how Black people have a problem with trusting cops?
But I don't think the problem then at that point should be trusting the cops. It should be trusting.
Just answer that question. You don't see how we don't trust cops?
I do, because the repercussion of the cops. So let me rephrase that. Yes, I do. Because what you're doing is you're saying because the cops are going to lead you to a judicial system that's going to fail you, that the cop is the first instance
No.
that failed process.
I fear for my life when I see a cop.
Why?
Is
I
it fair
fear
to
for my
say
life when I see a cop because of stuff like this. This is
You guys-
not
is it-
just new.
You guys missed last night where Derrick, Tromonte, and Jonah shared their first experiences with cops as minors. Jonah got pulled over. They grabbed him and threw him out the car. I can speak. 2 weeks ago, my friend Kevin was sitting in his driveway in the house that he owns with his wife and children inside. He's sitting in his driveway on FaceTime, and a cop pulls up behind. He's there for 5-10 minutes. Cop pulls up behind, guns drawn. What the fuck are you doing in this driveway? He's like, I own this house. Why are you? What's going on? I own this house. And the cop says, you expect me to believe that you own this house? And this is reported. This, like, he was on FaceTime, so the person he was on FaceTime with screen recorded this, and this is all what happened. And Kevin says, okay, well, why are you stopping me? And the cop says, I'm just doing my job. He holsters his gun and gets back to the squad car. Why did that happen? This is what Derrick's trying to get off his chest, is that things like this happen. That's never happened to me. Has that happened to you guys?
Yes, it has. I've had a cop draw his gun on me. Yes, I have.
I've had
For
LJ,
speeding.
I've gone to prison
speeding.
for 5 years almost for something,
Mhm.
I had the Pasco County Sheriff's Office SWAT team surround a building that I was in simply because I had a violation of probation warrant. They literally held guns through windows while there's children in there without knocking.
Okay.
So yes, it's not just one person. It's not just one group. It's a group of police officers that are acting out. There's a lot of, again, we go back to the vetting of cops. That needs to be done. Okay. But to sit there and say it's one group on one group is not truthful at all. There's 1,004 people shot and killed by police in 2019. 1,004.
That's not the point of it.
The point of it is
the point of it is not to say that this only happens to Black people. The point of it is to say that when it happens to Black people, we don't get justice.
I didn't get any justice for mine.
I'm saying when this happens to us and we get killed over nothing.
I've got family members that have been
What's the
killed by
point
police.
of Tamir Rice getting shot because he was playing with the BB gun?
It looks like a gun, and you marked it as a gun. So I have to handle it as a gun. That's there's no way of getting around that. You want to play like a gun's a gun, you're going to be treated like a gun.
Because white boys have walked around neighborhoods with BB guns and have not been killed over a BB gun.
And again, your statistics say 50% of violent crimes are by Black men.
Okay.
50%. Okay. So that's a statistic that not the cops just happen to make up. That's something that legitimately happened. Okay. So now, if I'm non-biased at all and I'm looking at my life, okay, and I say, okay, I'm getting a call to go out to a well-known drug traffic area or a well-known violent area. Okay, I'm not saying that's the case every time, but if I get a call to go out to something like that, I'm going to keep my best interest and my life in mind. Okay, and if I see somebody playing with a gun that looks like a real gun, I'm going to pull my weapon out and defend myself, regardless. Now, they are trained and should be trained, okay, to handle a situation, to assess it appropriately. Do they do that? No. But you know what? Do they make your order right at McDonald's every day either? No, they don't. Okay, that's the fault in
lives
human
aren't at stake at McDonald's.
I understand that, and that's the vetting.
Here's where you're missing me, because I've seen countless videos of white men running at cops with knives, axes, swords, and guns, and they do not get killed. Cops have the ability, for some reason, to be able to tell the difference between a white person and a Black person with a weapon, and they don't end up fearing for their lives when a white person comes at them with a weapon. But when a Black man stands in Walmart looking at a gun that Walmart sells, he gets shot down.
Do you watch live PD?
Hold on. Miss me with this whole thing about cops fearing for their lives. I'm sorry, because it seems very selective.
I think that what you just said.
So you're telling me that you don't think
factual.
cops fear for their lives?
I'm not saying
No.
they don't, but here's the thing: you can't say it for when it's a black person that has something that you're afraid of, and then all of a sudden when a white person has something, let's de-escalate. Let's tase.
No, that's media picking and choosing which accidents or incidents they want to flare up because it's all about ratings. They're trying to get the people.
Bro, I don't watch the
off.
news. I don't watch the news.
You sorry. Watch social media? You read Facebook? You watch Twitter? That's watching the news.
No. I don't watch. Because on social media, I pay attention to both sides. Trust me.
Okay. And the only time people mention things, when things go viral, is when it's on the news. When it comes again, you don't hear of 1,004 people dying every year, approximately, from cop shootings. It's not on social media. It's not on, it just doesn't pop up. Okay, when something controversial pops up, it's meant to get the people going. It's meant to start these issues. We as people need to decipher what is appropriate and what's not. Again, race isn't the problem.
It's not the problem.
It's not the problem, because if you watch live PD, there's live shows. The problem is people from one side or the other not being able to, bigotry, I guess is the best word, bigotry, getting agitated or getting irritated when somebody just doesn't want to believe them, or when somebody doesn't want to be on their side. They get mad, they get offended, and they throw a tantrum.
Here's the thing. Again, and I said this earlier, you as white men have benefit of the doubt. No matter what situation it is, you have benefit of the doubt built in.
I'm going to disagree.
That's fine.
I can't.
That's
because
fine.
I'm firsthand.
That's fine.
Firsthand example of that.
That's fine. I'm not telling you something that I have not seen myself. I had a cop that after I almost lost my life, blame me for the reason why I almost lost my life, because my left axle popped while I was driving to work, and then decided to give me the ticket for failure to maintain lane. And you know
guys,
what?
I'm sorry to
interrupt.
I have to leave.
All right, bro.
I apologize.
I'm not wrapping up anyway. No, you're good, man. You're good.
Let's just wrap it up with Mike here. And because we're going to come back, you guys good? You guys can pick up White Fragility and then read it, and in a month we'll come back and we'll discuss it. You guys cool with that?
That works.
Awesome. All right, Mike, Chris, thank you guys. Derrick, thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing your stance. It got heated in a couple moments, but I'm glad we were all able to come together with open ears and open hearts and be willing to listen to the other side. And I look forward to continuing this discussion.
Most definitely.
Hey, Derrick.
Yes.
Derrick, I hear what you're saying, buddy, and I believe me, I want to continue this conversation, and I appreciate you being open with it. And believe me, man, it kills people like me too to know someone has made you feel like that as well, because you shouldn't have to feel that way. So I definitely want to continue this conversation, and I appreciate your time. It was nice talking to all you, though. Seriously, I appreciate you guys. All right,
thank you.
Take care.
All right.
Peace.